So, hello and welcome to Naval Action Open World. Now, yeah, Open World is out for, uh, for me it has been a while, but I haven't been playing it a lot for several reasons. I'm going to enter that in a second. But since this last Friday, if you had a Santisima Trinidad in the sea trials, well, now you can access the open world. And what you are seeing is just that. Now, before commenting anything else and going into detail about the game and how it's looking, how it's shaping up, yeah, I haven't been putting out a lot of videos lately. I actually haven't put out any for almost 2 months. Um, there are several reasons for that. Some of them are, well, real life related. Some of them are related with the fact that I haven't felt like putting videos up for a while. Several things have gone not that great with some people, and in general, I'm seriously disappointed with the attitude of people in general regarding gaming. So I just needed a little bit of time to filter out a lot of stuff out of the system, recharge batteries, and feel the need to make videos again. And yeah, I'm back. I'm not going to enter into detail because why? Honestly, each time I say anything critical about anything, there's always people who simply can't take any criticism, and well, they spew hate in answers. So whatever. So yeah, OpenSea, Open World is out. As you know, it's a sandbox mode. Actually, there's an NDA in place. You can't put up any videos if you are under junior lieutenant, I think it is, rank 3 or something like that. There are ranks, of course, in game. I'll speak about them in a second. Luckily, well, I'm already lieutenant commander, and I have a Cerberus. The problem with my Cerberus is ranks are related with the amount of crew you can have. So, the bigger rank you are, the bigger crew you can have in your ship. If you have a rank which is below the ship you are commanding, you actually can sail the ship, but your crew will be under the numbers. And this is what's happening here. The Cerberus is a ship which needs 170 crewmen, and you only can command 110. So of course I'm going to have some trouble sailing this. So right now I'm looking for NPCs to fight because honestly, a player with a ship with full crew is going to maul me. If you lack crew, well, your maneuverability goes to hell. Raising sails, dropping sails, starting the yards takes forever. So right now I'm at 56% crew, and of course I'm going to feel a lot of trouble with that in battle. Versus NPCs is not that big of a deal as long as the NPC is not bigger than you. Um, there are several things to understand about open warfare, open world, sorry. And is first of all, the artificial intelligence is much better. I can tell you those things. I've seen the computer doing maneuvers players wouldn't do in sea trials. The AI is actually better than some players. Believe it or not, well, believe it or not, no, there were a lot of crappy players in sea trials, and yeah, that's going to surprise a lot of people because they are used to an AI that just sails in a straight line. They take hits and they sink with no effort whatsoever. And yeah, in this you have to fight. I have to work hard for the fight. If you are fighting a similar ship or even more a bigger ship, you really need all your skills to prevail. And especially if you want to capture the enemy ship, which is desirable because I'm going to enter that later, but you make more money. Um, yeah, well, if you want to capture the enemy ship is going to be shooting at your hull while you are trying to take his crew down. And yeah, on the long term, that usually ends up with you sinking. I have been beaten by the AI several times. Of course, because I was trying to capture the enemy and not sink it. And of course, when I realized that I was not going to capture the enemy ship and I switched it to double shot, it was too late. It was too late. I couldn't disengage. I couldn't beat the enemy, and I was sunk. So yeah, there's a challenge in the AI. Now this video doesn't have that much action. This is more so you can see more or less how it is, and there will be more videos with a lot more action. As you can see, well, open world is you are in a ship, and when you see sails in the horizon, you have to click on them, check out what they are, the composition, the nationality. Of course, you can only attack enemy ships. Or unless you are a pirate, then you can attack everyone, other pirates included. I'm Spanish, by the way, before you ask. You are going to see that later in the video. I'm sailing for the Spanish Navy because, of course, I'm Spanish. So, whatever. And there's a fleet there with some brigs and some snows, and that's too big a two for me to bite. So I'm just going to pass, and I'm going to keep on sailing. Currently, I'm just on the northern part of San Juan de Puerto Rico, um, which means Puerto Rico. Map is huge. You can't believe how big it is and how beautiful looking it is. Of course, keep in mind this is the bare bones of open world. There's no trading yet. There are a lot of things that need to be optimized, a lot of features to be introduced. Some options still don't work. There are some glitches here and there. It's not well optimized yet, so frames are not especially high. That's a known issue. I actually had to switch off anti-aliasing and all that stuff because really frames were really low. With all that stuff turned off, well, I actually hit something like 35 frames in open world, which is not a lot, of course. And well, but optimization will happen, and that's in the future. Right now, it's mostly about, well, testing out the sailing mechanics, testing out the open world, how it works, times of sailing, which I think are right spot on. I mean, the map is very, very big. Just sailing off from Santo Domingo to Puerto Rico, which is not a big trip, takes maybe a quarter of an hour just to cross the channel between the islands. But it's involved because it's big, but it's not that big. I'm actually thinking about, well, how the trading will work. Maybe for a pretty long trip you will need 3 hours, but you can do it. You can do it in just one session. So yeah, really, really, I think they nailed it with the size of the map right now. There are several nations right now. I only have seen Danish, British, French pirates, of course, Spanish, of course, Swedish, and I think that's it. That's it. There are more, I think, but so far those are the ones I have seen. What else? What else? What else? Well, you start with very basic links with 4 panders. That's a free ship. I mean, the links you can purchase all the links you want for zero cost. They come with 4 pander guns, and of course they are not really great. Above that, you can purchase new ships, which comes with 5 durabilities, I think. Which means you can lose a ship 5 times if you purchase it, and you lose it 5 times. You will have to purchase a new one or go to another ship or whatever. You can capture enemy ships, but if you capture enemy ships, you only have 1 durability. So say a capture surprise, for instance. Well, if I lose that surprise, that's it. I don't have any other surprise when I'm back to port. If I lose this ship, then I go back to port. I have to repair it, which costs quite a lot, and then I can sail again immediately. I think it's actually a pretty good mechanic, but I think there are personal opinion. I think those are too many durabilities. Maybe 2 durabilities, 3 durabilities would be more than enough, but whatever. Well, as you can see, I'm just patrolling. I'm checking out on what's on the sea. There's another fleet there. This is Spanish, of course. If I'm Spanish, I can't attack Spanish. Well, actually, I can, but then I would turn into a pirate, and I don't want to be a pirate. As you can see, there's a port to the left side. They are still without textures, but well, so far, no big deal. It's Arecibo, northern side of San Juan. And well, in port, you are going to see later on. Well, you have options to fit out your ship, to purchase modules, to purchase other cannons, bigger cannons. The limits, of course, are put by the amount of gold you have to purchase items and the ship you have. Because if I have a Cerberus, of course, I can't load 18 pounders on it, and there's a limit. The guns you can load in any ship right now are pretty much the same as the ones you could load in sea trials. So yeah, but with this you have to purchase them. Modules are well interesting because they kind of improve the things you might desire. There are a number of limited spots per ship you can use for modules. There are very different modules. Some of them are for boarding combats, some of them are for faster repairs, some of them are for maybe better armor, um, and each one of them also comes in different categories. So for instance, maybe you have an item for repairs which is basic, and then you have the same item which also makes faster repairs but is legendary and costs more, a lot more, but makes you repair much faster. So there's a lot of variance in that, and really nice to fine-tune the ship. Another interesting thing about modules is that if you purchase a new ship, they will come with up to three, I think it is, modules on itself. So, for instance, ships are different. So there are no two identical ships in the market because they have different traits. They have different modules installed, and maybe one of them has better masts. Maybe the other has better armor, so each one has traits, and you can check them out while you are purchasing. I think in the final version they will be hidden, so you won't know about them until you find out by using them. But if you capture a ship, they will have no inbuilt modules. They will have only the modules you install on it. So yeah, well, right now as you can see, I'm just patrolling, and what you see is actually a very dull time, very dull time when I wasn't finding anything to fight. And it happens now and then. In several areas, well, you will find only shipping of your own nation, and that you can't fight. And in other several zones, particularly so to the eastern part of Puerto Rico, there usually are a lot of players. So if you are looking for trouble, go there. But believe me, you are going to find trouble there, and it's usually bad trouble. Because if you are alone and you find four enemies, it's a little bit problematic. And I have found four enemies. Now, what you are seeing now is down, as you can see, shallows. There's a little icon. The yellow part marks where the shallows are. If you are heading directly into the shallows, the ship will stop. This allows you to navigate close to shallow areas and, well, to know how close to the shallow areas you are and how to maneuver. For instance, right now I have shallows to my left. I still have them. So I'm bordering right now the land, but I can't come any closer because the ship would stop. You can't run aground currently. I hope they implement running aground because that would be fine. Another thing is that right now there's no map in the game. What I do is to use Google Maps and alt tabbing out and in to, well, check my bearings, etc. There will be a map, of course, in the future, but it's not going to have any GPS marker to say where you are. You have to estimate your position. and you can do that by depth reckoning, knowing where you start from, how much time you have spent in a given direction, etc. By establishing landmarks and comparing it with the map and that kind of stuff, which I think is really good because I like the idea of that you can get lost. You can actually try to sail somewhere, and if you don't pay attention, you can end in a totally different area. The map is big. You are going to get lost. I have gotten lost. Everyone has. But there's a thrill and there's a challenge in navigating well. Doing good navigation is really nice because when you set up for a given course and you know you are aiming for a pretty far land, and you make the landfall exactly where you planned, is like a huge accomplishment because, well, hey, you did good navigation. So as you can see, I'm looking around and checking on contacts. All of them are Spanish so far. Soon we are going to find something which is not Spanish. Don't worry. But in the meantime, well, yeah, I'm going to keep talking about the open world. About some complaints I have heard about people saying that it's only PvP and only combat oriented. Well, as I say, this is the basic test. They are testing the mechanics of sailing, combat, engagement, disengagement, to tune the details. So, for instance, the timers for disengaging, if they are too big, too low, etc. Again, right now there's no trading yet. There will be trading in the future. There will be a lot of things you can do other than fighting. Right now, it's mostly fighting. Right now, it's mostly going out, finding things to fight, and well, fighting them or running away like a little screaming girl. Sometimes happens. But if you are not looking into fighting, then the test is not for you yet. Don't worry, because in the future, when economy is in, there will be a lot of things to do, from trading, hauling, of course, manufacturing, producing items, etc. So there will be all that stuff, but that is in the future. Right now, they are trying to nail the combat mechanics, and it looks really good, really well. I'm having a lot of fun just with this, and this is the bare bones, naked version of the game. Also, you can see there's no god mode. If you have ever played a game like, I don't know, Pirates of the Burning Sea, which was another MMO about, well, the Caribbean and ships and whatever. Well, there the strategic map, the open world, was actually a big map when you had a god's mode, a god's eye that allowed you to see a huge area around you. As you can see here, the visibility is very limited, and you really need to check your bearings all the time to look around, because if you are just focused on one area, if you don't look at the other area, there may be an enemy coming in, and you won't see him until he's on top of you, and then he will intercept you, and then you will be in big trouble. Also, there you go, Tradersprig, France. Now this is not going to be a huge fight because the Tradersprig has no guns. So I'm in a big three-mast Cerberus with 26 guns against a brig which has no defense. But you're going to see how it works, how the interception works. As you can see down in the right, you have the compass with the wind direction, and the status of your sails, etc. As you can see, there's a battle in front of you. Now, you can join battles. If, for instance, you are Spanish and it's Spanish versus another nation, you can join that battle. If it's of two different nations, you can't join that. If it's France versus Great Britain and you are Spanish, you can't join. But first I'm going to check, and I did check that the battle was nothing involving French, because I'm about to intercept this guy. And in the position you intercept the guy, as you can see here, the wind position, and when we start the fight, you will see that the relative positions of the ship are exactly the same, and the wind is coming from exactly the same position. So doing a good interception includes taking the wind and holding the wind and trying to get, well, the wind gauge before you engage. Now, combat. There are a lot of new things in combat as well. You are going to see. Well, I'm not going to commentate a lot about the combat itself because, come on, the guy has no guns. This is not combat. This is kicking a dog. Um, Actually, not a dog. It's like punching a baby. But whatever. Combat in open world. Well, if you are used to the sea trials, you're going to find a lot of new things. First of all, damage 4.0 is integrated into the open world, which means you get bouncing shots, you get fire and exploding ships, and believe me, you don't want to be close to an enemy ship that is on fire because when it explodes, it hurts a lot, and I know it firsthand because I have had it happen that I was fighting very close to an enemy and suddenly, oh, it's on fire, cool, it's burning, boom, back to port because I'm sunk. The explosion destroyed my ship. Of course, it was a very little ship, I was in a Lynx, but still, when you see an enemy rifle burning, run, and if it's you the one who's burning, pray, because there's not a lot more than you can do. So yeah, damage 4.0 is implemented. You will notice that you lose guns much faster than before because their individual hitboxes are represented now. So if you aim at the enemy gun parts, you are going to take a lot of their guns out. You will notice that losing pumps is much harder now than was before. Um, Again, this is probably something I will show in another video, but there's a percentage of health for several items, for instance the rudder, for the pump, and now you can get out of a battle, check your status of the ship and see for instance that your pump is at 60%. So it was working but it was not destroyed, but it was taking hits. So individual parts are all of them modeled. Crew positions are modeled. I mean, it's much more evolved. I will probably explain more in another video because it's a whole new world. Of course, combat tactics are pretty much the same as they were before, but the effects or where you fire, where you hit, with which ammo you hit, because Grape right now has some curious effects. By curious, I mean that before, if you were shooting at the side of an enemy ship, you wouldn't kill nothing. But now, if you aim at the gun ports, you will kill crew, and pretty fast as well. And you are going to actually see it in battle here, because as you can see, I have less crew than he has, and I will have to kill his crew at one point or another. So, well, actually, I'm loading Grape now, so you will see how I use it. I take aim, and depending on where I hit, you will see that when I hit in the gun ports, the enemy crew will suffer, and when I hit in the wooden parts, I won't kill any enemy crew. Also, hitting on the decks, above the decks, if you can hit directly on the weather deck, you will kill a lot of enemies with Grape. What else? What else? What else? What else? What else? Oh yeah, repairs. Repair system has been overhauled. It's different. Now you have 2 armor repairs, 2 sail repairs, which are independent. So if you burn a sail repair, you still have 2 armor repairs. If you use your 2 sail repairs, you still have your 2 armor repairs. And then you have a wild card repair. So you have 2 armor, 2 sails, and 1 wild card, which you can use in either the rudder, the pump, or the magazine. So, for instance, say that you get your rudder destroyed. Well, you can use 1 repair for the rudder, and you will still have 2 for armor. But now you have 2 for armor only, not 3 as we had in the sea trials. I like the change because it makes it makes chainshot a lot, not going to say less effective, but well, you know that in sea trials, if you were shooting at an enemy sail area and you hit him and he couldn't move, well, he would have to use at least one of his repairs to repair his sails, and that would mean that in the long term he would die because he would have one less repair than anyone else for armor. Well, right now that's over. That's not going to happen ever again. I kind of feel that two sail repairs are too much. Personal opinion. But well, there are two, so it's what everyone has. Also, your repair status at the end of the battle translates into the open sea. So, for instance, if I end up this battle with 50% armor in one side, 70% armor in the other side, and 60 crew, when I get out of the battle and into the open sea, I will have a ship with 70% armor in one side, 40% armor in the other side, and 60 crewmen. There are repairs you can use in the open sea to repair without entering port. Otherwise, you have to enter port. And pay, of course. Repairing a basic links costs nothing, but if you are in any other ship, repairing costs some gold. And the bigger the ship, the more gold it costs, of course. As for ranks, as I was saying, there are ranks in the game. You start as an ensign, you have no rank. You only can command a lynx. Well, you can command any ship, but you can only command 40 men. And a lynx happens to have 40 men. So, no big deal. Then there's ensign second rate, I think. I don't know. There are several midshipman, junior lieutenant, then lieutenant. With each rank, you win ability to command larger crews. How do you win ranks? By getting XP. At the end of any battle, you will gain XP and gold based on the amount of damage you did to the enemy. Now, there's a little of a problem here because right now killing enemy crew costs or doesn't count as damage. So, if you take an intact enemy ship, you have killed all his crew, you have boarded him, but you have caused almost no damage to him, you will win no XP at all and very little gold, other than the gold you get from selling the ship. Of course, I think that in the future will be different, and killing enemy crew will also count towards your XP. So the more damage you cause in battle, the more XP you win, and well, at different XP levels, you will move up one rank, and you will be able to command bigger crews. Again, well, right now, for instance, in this battle, I'm 18 points away from lieutenant, which allows me to command 150 crew. So after this battle, I will be able to sail this ship with 150, but right now I'm at 110. So of course that puts a limit to your progression, because if you happen to capture I don't know, a Trincomalee with your links in your first battle, which is highly unlikely, but hey, who knows? Yeah, you will have a Trincomalee, but you won't be able to sail it, because, well, a Trincomalee with 40 crew is not going to sail anywhere, believe me. So yeah, I think it's a really good way to encourage people playing and not jumping into insane ships right away. Progression is easy, at least for me. I'm finding it easy. I find it easy to move to bigger ships, to get bigger crews, and yeah, well, it's all around getting into good fights, being smart, because if you lose, I mean, if you get sunk, you get no XP and no money. If you flee a battle, if you disengage, you will get gold and money based on the amount of damage you have done. But if you get sunk, you get nothing. So always remember that it is much better to be cautious than to risk it all, no matter how close you are to killing an enemy. And I tell you this because it has happened to me that, yeah, I could have run away from a battle and get a lot of gold and XP after doing a lot of damage, but I got cocky, I thought I could survive, and I didn't, and I got nothing. So that's to be remembered. What else? What else? What else? Well, as you can see here, I was using double shot, mostly because I wanted to cause some damage, because I wanted some XP and some money, other than capturing the ship. Now, if you capture a ship, you have several different options. The first of all, you can commandeer it, which means that when you go out into the open sea, you are aboard that ship, but with no guns. After you capture a ship, you have to go to port to load guns, repair, etc. You can send it to your base outposts. So, for instance, the Spanish players start at Santo Domingo. You have a base there. So, if you capture a ship, you can send it there. And if you want to take it, well, then you have to go to Santo Domingo and take it personal command of the ship. Or you can directly sell it for an amount of gold based on the class of the enemy ship, the value of the enemy ship, and how damaged it is. The more intact an enemy ship it is, the more value we will have. For instance, a perfectly pristine captured snow goes for, you can sell it for almost 9,000 gold, which is a lot actually. Of course, if you damage it a lot, well, it won't be 9,000, maybe 6,000. Depends on the amount of damage you did to the enemy ship. Now you can see here I'm trying to come close and force boarding on the enemy ship. And it's not as easy as it might seem, because as I said, the AI is pretty good. They will put all their wits at stake not to let you capture them. You can see the guy won't go upwind. He will remain there. I will have to try to T-bone him, to cross him, and to stop him. So yeah, the AI is really smart. It's not good. I mean, I have no trouble winning against similar sized opponents, but at least it's a challenge. It's not a run of the mill. It's not an easy task. Now, here I had a problem, which is that servers were going down 15 minutes. In 15 minutes, but well, much before that, I'm going to capture this guy and go back to board. So yeah, well, in general, what do I think about OpenSea right now? I think it's great. Mostly because I know this is in a very raw state. This is ultra early beta test. It's actually an alpha. It's not even a beta. Um, the potential this has, the build. I mean, everything that comes later on will be built upon this basis. And if you keep that in mind, that of course there are a lot of things to come, that there are a lot of things that still are not implemented, but you think about how it will be in the future with trading, manufacturing, an admiralty system. There is an option right now if you capture a ship to send it to the admiralty, but it does nothing because it's not enabled yet. But in the future, you will be able to score points with your admiralty by capturing ships and sending them to them. So missions, escorts, sailing with friends, which I have done in this game, and it's super fun, and it's really interesting to coordinate with a couple of friends and sail with them and try to bring down bigger enemies with them, which if you were to tackle alone you wouldn't be able to. If you take all that in account, what's already in the game is really good and it's really entertaining. So if you keep in mind that what we have right now is the naked skeleton that everything will be built on, I see myself spending a lot of hours in this game. A lot of hours. It's immersive, it makes you feel like you are there. Again, I think the size of the map is perfectly. It's spot on. It's right on the perfect sweet spot where things are far away to make things interesting and um, close enough to not be a chore to go out sailing looking for enemies. Now, as you can see, well, I have captured the enemy. Now I'm repairing my ship because again, the status of the ship when I go out in the open sea will be the status of the ship when I hit leave battle. And once I'm fully repaired, I'm going to get out, and you will see, well, the options you have once you are out. You can see leave instance, and here you have combat results. You can see the gold I made, the XP I made. Look, loot! I have loot. A basic repair kit, nice. That will be, I mean, something I will be able to use to repair my ship in the sea. Now, as you can see, take command, Central Admiralty, that does nothing. I'm going to sell it. Sell ship. Yeah. Well, 4,105 gold. That's a lot of gold with the gold I made with the battle itself. That was a very profitable run. So I made some XP enough to go back to base and finally have 150 crew, which is still not enough. Again, a Cerberus is at 100 crew with 170, so I'm still not at the proper rank to fully take advantage of everything the Cerberus has, but it's much better to have 151 than 110, of course. And now I'm going to sail to port. Another thing, of course, is that the UI is very basic right now. Doesn't look very fancy. It's all like very plain squares and all that stuff. But again, then it's going to be changed in the future. Will look much better. Art will come last. First are the mechanics. The chat is really intuitive. It works very well. You have a help channel, a global channel. You can add friends to your friend list, open private chats with them. Works really well. Have had no trouble with it at all. Very easy to use, very intuitive. And yeah, well, all that remains to do is to come close to port, enter it, and yeah, well, servers are going down, so call it a day for the time being. Oh, of course, ports. There are ports of each nationality, and there are neutral ports. You can only enter neutral ports and ports of your own nationality. As you can see here, I have some troubles because there are shallows all around. I have to find my proper way into the port. As you can see, well, there's a channel to enter. I'm going to slow down a little bit and enter port. And once I'm in port, well, you will see some of the options. Again, the UI is not the best. As you can see, I have a basic link in Santo Domingo, but my Cerberus is here. If I want to go to and take the links, I will have to go back to the Santo Domingo. You can purchase outposts. I have one in Santo Domingo. And hold on a second. Yeah, I repaired. As you can see, now I have a crew complement of 150. Finally, you can see the stats of the ship, of course, in the screen with maximum speed, turn rate, etc. And this is the equipment screen where you can put the upgrades in their place. The weapons. I still have no chasers in the back because I haven't found carbonates. And as you can see, well, that's what they do, and the different effects, and etc. And you can see, for instance, this one is legendary. That's a 16% decrease of fire, so that's really great. Now this is the shop with ships. You can see, well, the different ships there are, cannons. Each port has different items. So maybe you are in a port that doesn't have the guns you want. You will have to look for them. And those are the modules. As you can see, they vary a lot in price, quality, effects. There's one boarding party 70,000. What the hell? And I got this one. I got the Polusites because reduction of dispersal at long range. Yeah, I want this. So I will go to equipment, get my Polusites, and put them on. Another thing of the new combat mechanism is that long range gunnery is much harder because the dispersion is much bigger. So yeah, and that's something that I really like a lot because long range gunnery in the sea trials was insanely accurate. Now it's more believable. You still can snipe the enemy, but it's going to take a lot longer to bring it down. And well, yeah, that's going to it for this video. I think for an overall view of how it is and how the open world is right now, I think it's good enough. Of course, I will be making more videos, the adventures of Captain Ryan GB of the Spanish Navy, and I will making probably some tutorials of how some things work, set up ideas I have, how to do well, and how to increase ranks fast, what you should do, what you shouldn't do, that kind of stuff. So yeah, well, that's going to be it for this video. I hope you enjoyed. I hope you had fun. As always, thank you very much for watching, guys, and see you later.